Just as I find myself approaching the end of the honeymoon period with my Galaxy Z Fold 3, where the flaws of the device begin to stand out against the obvious advantages, Samsung has refreshed their S lineup with the S22 family. We've got two of them here today, the S22 Plus and the Note 22. Excuse me, the S22 Ultra, which is, by all appearances, a spiritual successor to Samsung's old Note lineup that hasn't actually seen a new family member since the Note 20 Ultra 5G, which we've also got on hand today for comparison. So let's start, of course, with that. As something of a Note fanboy, if I was going to switch off of a foldable, I would probably end up with a Note, and from everything that I've seen so far, although that's very little, this appears to be a worthy and heavyweight successor to it. Wow, that is a flippin' heavy phone. Now, one of the reasons, actually a couple of the reasons that people on the interwebs are saying that they really feel like the S22 Ultra is less of an S and more of a Note is that the industrial design compared to the Note series is completely different. Instead of having a camera bump that is one large bump with multiple lenses embedded in it, the S22 Ultra has individual camera bumps with their own accent rings about them that I think looks absolutely fantastic. It's also less rounded off in the corners, which is less comfortable for sure in the palm. Like, I can tell already holding the S22 Plus that I'm gonna be less likely to get like a little divot buried into my palm here, though the edges are a little bit on the sharp side compared to the S22 Ultra, but that gives them more internal space for, of course, the other big difference between the Note series and the S series traditionally, the embedded S-Pen. Now, I've seen some complaints about the relatively boring design of the S-Pen this time around. Oh no, it's just matte black compared to some of the cool looking ones I've done in the past. I'm gonna say, as someone who used a Note for so long and absolutely loved the S-Pen when I was using it, I don't care what it looks like. If I've got an S-Pen, I'm absolutely gonna be doing things with it. It does everything from allowing you to take quick notes while the screen is still off, to using it as a camera shutter, which I actually used more often than you might think, and on this particular camera, is gonna be a whopping 40 megapixels. Oh, that's cute. I can already see their automatic fake bokeh being added here. Obviously not right now, because I'm recording a video to mask a cut that we had to make there. But that's one of the areas that the new Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 SoC that's in the S22 series is dramatically faster than its predecessors. Image processing, where it can handle sustained 720p 960 FPS recording, among other things, as well as significantly improved machine learning performance, where they are claiming that with their new AI-assisted fake bokeh mode, so let's find out, here we go, portrait mode, they can actually even handle like flyaways. So, I don't know, do I have enough flyaways that we can try this on me? How am I looking here, ladies and gentlemen? I actually use this feature all the time, because even if you're not using a fold, which conveniently does allow you to preview your selfie pictures on the main camera with the outside screen, as long as you can kind of aim at yourself, you can get way better selfies on a rear proper camera than you will even with a 40 megapixel front camera. Let's check going through that tiny little hole there. It's definitely losing some of the detail in some of those little wispy hairs, but not bad, look at that. It even got the neck hairs. Other main benefits of the stylus are the ability to pop up this little menu to quickly create GIFs or get screenshots or write on screen capture so that you can jot notes down and send them off to people. These are things that I have really missed about the Note and could actually tempt me to return it. Another cool thing about the S-Pen this time around is apparently the latency, even compared to the last gen, has been dramatically reduced using a combination of AI and then technology that they've integrated from Wacom.
Wacom.
So I'm gonna go ahead and, I don't know, whatever, let's just write on the screen. Yeah, it's like a scritchy.
Oh, wait, that's in the speaker?
Yeah, It's cheesy, but I don't mind it. In terms of the feel, I wouldn't say that it's markedly different from my experience with previous S-Pens, but in terms of the latency, wow. It feels less like writing with a stylus and more like just drawing on your screen. Like, that's pretty cool. Back to the cameras for a second. On the Ultra version, we've got a total of 5 lenses here, including a main shooter that's 108 megapixels this time around, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, 10 megapixel telephoto, another 10 megapixel telephoto with a 10 times optical zoom, as well as a depth sensor. On the 22 and 22 Plus versions of the phone, you get a 50 megapixel main shooter, along with 12 megapixel ultra wide and 10 megapixel telephoto, but just the one telephoto lens. And both of those, at least spec-wise, are the same. This video is brought to you by the dbrand grip. That's right, that's how you pronounce it. I've been saying it wrong for years. I thought it was dbrand, but it's pretty clear that I was an idiot because right there, there's no space, there's no dash. In fact, the D and the B are even joined together, it's dbrand. So if you ever hear them saying it wrong on their official channel, which was how I got confused, you can let them know that it was they really need to do better, and they'll probably send you back a really nice, politely worded message. I've been asked by dbrand to show off their atomic grip case, which is thinner than ever, while still having their nice grippy sides. Wow, on a phone this big, you kind of need it to be thinner than ever, as well as their shock protection, and of course, nice big clearances for all the things you're gonna need access to. And other than that, I mean, there's not too much to say about it, other than that it's a nice case, and it's almost perfectly flush with the camera cutouts on the back. I don't believe it's actually for sale yet, but it should be very soon. Thanks dbrand for sponsoring this video. Remember, if it's not dbrand, then you ain't the man. Now, in terms of the other specs, where I really want to start is the display. Samsung, it's no secret, produces the best mobile phone displays in the world by basically any way of measuring them, and they have once again one-upped themselves, apparently reaching 1750 nits peak brightness. But you only get that on the S22 Plus, as well as the S22 Ultra, not on the regular S22. Of course, I'm gonna wanna see what HDR content looks like on here. Frankly, I'm not even expecting to be able to benefit from that kind of peak brightness on just regular HDR10 content on YouTube, but it's interesting. Samsung is calling out that part of their performance outdoors with the S22 series is AI enhancement of color or something like that to make it more readable. But I had actually noticed a similar thing where it's not just that the display brightness amps up, but also that the color profile changes, even on my old Note 9, so I don't really know what the deal is with that. Maybe if you guys know anything about it, you could give me some clarity in the comments. As usual, a new generation of phones comes out, and it is almost without a doubt going to be the best display in your house. Man, there's a big difference between HDR and HDR. In terms of other specs, I already mentioned that it's using a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor, but what exactly does that mean? What it means, Android friends, is that we are still a couple of generations behind Apple in terms of raw performance, but in the real world, it means that we're getting anywhere from a 5 to 20% uplift in raw performance over last generation Snapdragon 888, depending on what kind of metrics you're looking at, a huge boost in machine learning performance, and a massive generational increase in gaming performance, to the point where for games, the S22 Ultra, assuming that it has no cooling issues, which of course we haven't tested yet, I just opened the boxes, should be competitive with the iPhone 13 lineup in terms of games. One spec change that's causing some controversy is Samsung's decision to downgrade the 128 gig version of the S22 Ultra from 12 gigs on the S21 Ultra to just 8 gigs. You will get 12 gigs on the 256, 512, and 1 terabyte versions, but on the base model, you actually get less RAM than last generation. On the S22 and S22 Plus, you don't have to worry about that because you're gonna get 8 gigs regardless, and they're only available in 128 gig and 256 gig configurations. One thing that's not looking as promising is Samsung's charging technology this time around. We get a 3700, 4500, and 5000 milliamp hour battery, depending on whether we go for the S22 Plus or Ultra, But the charging rates are, while good for Samsung, not that good compared to particularly some of their Chinese competitors. And it's limited to 25 watts on the base model and 45 watts on the higher end ones. Personally, I don't consider this to be a major issue because I almost never fast charge my phone. It's just, it might not kill your battery immediately, but it sure as heck isn't good for it. But if you're the kind of person who wants to be able to juice your phone up quickly, then you're gonna have to settle for, what is it? They quote 50% in 20 minutes or something like that. Hopefully you can get by with half of your charge in the time it takes you to have a shower and get ready to go out. You know what I wanna come back to now though is the display. On the S22 and S22 Plus, you get the same 120 Hz refresh rate as well as 240 Hz touch sampling in game mode. So that's gonna be up there with the decent gaming phones on the market, and the same 10 to 120 Hz refresh window. But on the Ultra, I'm actually expecting that even though its display is significantly larger, it's 6.8 freaking inches this time around, you could be getting significant energy efficiency savings from the fact that they've gone all the way from 10 Hz down to just 1 refresh per second. 1 Hertz. Is it still a Hertz or is it a Hurt when you have just one of them? 1 refresh per second on the display when you're looking at static content. That is a pretty impressive feat. Running through some other key specs, we've got ultrasonic fingerprint sensors across the entire lineup. We've got wireless charging at 15 watts across the entire lineup, and Android 12 with Samsung's One UI 4.1. That includes some cool features, including a newer, improved wallet that'll store more than just payment cards, as well as a new privacy dashboard that I actually want to have a look at here that's designed to prevent any unauthorized apps from getting access to anything that you don't want them to have. You can alert when the clipboard's accessed. That's super cool. Get alerts when they have camera access. That is a weird little jelly effect when you, can't say I'm a big fan. Shoot, there was something that I had wanted to check out in here. Oh right, I remember, I wanted to see how their ultrasonic fingerprint sensor is doing in terms of speed these days. It's okay. Apparently they've done a lot to improve stabilization, and honestly, I can see it. Holy crap, are you gonna get a close-up of me kind of shaking this camera around? Okay, because you are gonna be really impressed when the editor puts that video in the corner while this video that I'm recording is playing on the main screen. That's pretty cool. Damn, son! Instead of Samsung, get it? Damn, son, damn, son. Oh, it doesn't matter. There's still no SD card slot, which blows. I'm still not over it. I'm over the headphone jack, but I'm not over the SD card slot. I don't think I ever mentioned that the selfie camera on the non-Ultra models is just 10 megapixels instead of 40 megapixels. I'm not expecting it to honestly make an enormous difference because you're more limited by just how much light you can get through that tiny little hole. Oh, I lied. Yeah, it's sharper. See, there's enough resolution to pick up my nose hairs on the Ultra, whereas they just kind of fade away. This is where higher resolutions are just really not doing us any favors sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Leaving only one thing remaining, price. They're freaking expensive, with the S22 Ultra starting at $1,200 in the US. And for 128 gigs of storage with no expansion options, that is a really tough pill to swallow, but it certainly appears to be the entire package in every other way. So if you're looking for a flagship Android device, I mean, recently Yvonne needed an upgrade and I tried giving her anything other than a Samsung and she was just like, yeah, this is not doing it for me. OnePlus has really slipped up on hardware, or excuse me, software. So she wants to go back to Samsung, who ironically used to be notable for their terrible software experience. Pun intended. Get it? It's a notable phone. You know what? It doesn't matter. The point is, subscribe to Short Circuit. Banana for scale. Buy one, lttstore.com. We also have hoodies. And toques. And lanyards.